Yo, so what is up, everybody? Today we are back with a brand new video. For today's video, we're going to be talking bust. And what if the biggest bust on every NBA team actually panned out for that team? For when adjusting the overalls, I tried not to make it too unrealistic. For example, I didn't want to make Wiggins like a 95 so that he'd be one of the best players in the league, but more like an 86. Because in a lot of cases, if these players slightly developed more than they actually did, they would help the team out a whole lot. So, as you saw, Zaire Smith, he wasn't really a bust. There wasn't really any on the Sixers. But here's like one, for example, Chris Dunn. Chris Dunn, Jordan Clarkson comparison, 5th overall. He obviously fell short of that. Nick Stauskas from the Cavs. Jason Kapono comparison, supposed to be a knockdown jump shooter. And he was the 8th overall pick, but he didn't really live up to it. The Celtics don't really have a quote-unquote bust. I just went with Terry Rozier. He had great playoffs, obviously, but he's really one of the only guys that, draft-wise, didn't really live up to what they were supposed to be. So the Clippers, here's a really good one. Jerome Robinson. Jerome Robinson actually got a CJ McCollum comparison with his 13th pick in 2018. So, obviously, he hasn't lived up to that yet, but he still can. Looking at the Grizzlies, there's a few guys that maybe could have been on it, but I chose Chandler Parsons, not because he was where he was drafted, because he was drafted in the 2nd round, but, because of that 3 to 4 year stretch when he was very good and he got that huge contract he has now. He never really got back to that point because of injuries, but, what if he did? So that's kind of what we did there. Alex Len, we only boosted him up a little bit. He's not bad in real life, but he got some comparisons to be Marc Gasol, and he's not exactly what you hope your 5th overall pick ends up becoming. He's serviceable, but not great. Looking at the Heat team, I went with Dion Waiters. Dion Waiters obviously has had some injuries throughout his career. And also, another guy, he was the 4th overall pick. Didn't really live up to what people thought he was going to be. People thought he was going to be absurd, but he really wasn't. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, this is a hard one right here. 2nd overall pick, that's not what you want your 2nd overall pick to become. Some people even compared him to Andre Iguodala, and he just never really got that offensive game going. For the Jazz, we got Dante Exum. Dante Exum, as we all know, didn't pan out. With those couple injuries in his first couple years, it didn't really help him, and he was supposed to be Penny Hardaway, according to comparisons. So Harry Giles, I just went with him because there wasn't anyone better on the Kings, and it's kind of, you remember he was the #1 player in the nation in high school, and then he got hurt. Looking at the Knicks right here, you have Mario Hezonia, who's a pretty bad bust, 5th overall. At 18 or 19, I believe, he was pulling Tracy McGrady comparisons, but realistically, he had such a high ceiling, it was thought to be, and he never really got it. Looking at the Lakers with Zoe, Zoe's not bad, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Zoe's a bust, but out of the Lakers players, I would say he's probably the biggest bust. With comparisons to Jason Kidd, KCP could have been the guy, but he's not exactly what you thought he would be coming out of UCLA. I'm talking a little slow, but Markelle Fultz, obviously being the #1 pick is hard, and forgetting how to shoot makes it even harder. So he's not that shot-creating guard everyone thought he was going to be, and he even had comparisons to D'Lo and James Harden. Shabazz Napier here. Shabazz Napier got actually comparisons, surprisingly, with being picked so late to Mike Bibby, and a lot of people thought he was going to be a lot better because of his great seasons at UConn he had. Looking at the Nuggets, Trey Lyles was supposed to be Carlos Boozer, and he was supposed to have one of the most elite post games in the NBA, and in 4 years, he really hasn't gotten anywhere. Looking at Dougie McBuckets, drafted 11th overall, and having an unbelievable season at Creighton, he never panned out. With Wally Szczerbiak comparisons, he was supposed to be an NBA scoring machine that was a generational talent, but never lived up to it. Jahlil Okafor, his journey on the Sixers was not a great one. His style of play is pretty outdated. So that number 3 pick's never going to live up to his expectations of being Brook Lopez, and his defense is pretty trash, but he found a role with the Pelicans this year, which is great for him. The Thon Maker experiment's one that you could definitely say went wrong, especially, for a player that nobody really knew what age he was, and it just didn't work out. He's not that stretch 5 with great interior defense he was supposed to be, but that's kind of what we made him into. Jeremy Lin, another guy, he's not a draft bust, but I would say he's a bust in terms of what people thought he was going to be with the whole insanity thing. He's a solid player, but not great. Looking at Austin Rivers, being the son of Doc Rivers and getting compared to players like Monte Ellis and Russell Westbrook, Rivers was walking into the league with some unreal expectations, and he's always really just been a backup point guard, so we made him a little bit better. Jakob Poeltl, not a bust, but he's the biggest bust in terms of what the Spurs have draft-wise. Dragan Bender, obviously a lot of people thought he was going to be a lot better, a great knockdown stretch four, but he never became that, so we made him that. Looking at Nerlens, he was always great defensively, but he was supposed to really develop his offensive game, and it never really happened, so we made that happen. Andrew Wiggins, 85. Obviously, he was great, athletically and stuff, but he never panned out to be just the all-around player that people thought he was going to be with LeBron comparisons. Evan Turner, also, he was a number 2 pick, I believe, and just didn't pan out. And Andrew Bogut, he's, I guess, the biggest bust the Warriors have, I guess, because he's older. He is older, but he was drafted really high, and he had some okay seasons, but nothing crazy. And then Jabari Parker, we all know the story with Jabari Parker, and how he was supposed to be the next big thing with the Bucks, and he really didn't become that. So some of these players actually do end up starting on their teams. I didn't want to go through and show everyone that actually gets to start, but some of them get to start, some of them don't. We're going to sim to the end of the season and kind of see how this would have changed things if these guys would have actually panned out. And while we are waiting for this to actually kind of sim through and see how everything plays out, I would like to take this time to say that I'm very excited with the amount of support we've been getting. We're going to hit 500 subscribers really soon. We're only 31 subs away, which I never even thought was possible, honestly. So thank you guys so much for that. And if you aren't already, like, comment, and sub. I would really, really appreciate it. And I'm just going to keep grinding and hope that great things happen for me, this channel, and our community. And that's really all I have to say about this. So let's see how the league changed. Alright, so let's see. Maybe someone got most improved player. MVP still goes to Curry. Trae Young, Rookie of the Year. Nothing crazy so far. Giannis, DPOY. Most improved still goes to Jordan Clarkson. So nothing crazy. Let's see if anyone made it on any teams, though. So I don't see anyone on any of these, surprisingly. Maybe a third team guy could pop up. No defensive team guys. But Harry Giles did make all-rookie second team, which is kind of interesting. And that's the only person that we actually have on any NBA team, which is also kind of weird. But let's kind of look at who made the playoffs and who didn't now, because things might have honestly gotten switched around. So at the top, it's still looking the same. The Wizards actually did do a little bit better than I feel like I would have expected, along with the Bucks having their Thon Maker that can stretch the floor off the bench. So the Pistons actually did better than I would have expected. The Bucks didn't have a great season, surprisingly. For the Bucks, it was just Tony Snell getting better, because they don't have any real bust themselves. The Cavs did secure a playoff spot with their Nick Stauskas. The Knicks are still the worst team in the league, even though they had Mario Hezonia, who got a lot better. The T-Wolves, they did solid. There's not anyone that's too big of a surprise here that made playoffs, and the Suns were still trash with a good Dragan Bender. So, this is actually playoff stats. I didn't realize that for a second. I wanted to see how Zaire was doing and stuff, but we will see. So, actually looking at this, let's go through and kind of see how the players did. So, Zaire still didn't get really any crazy minutes or anything. Looking at Tony Snell, also didn't really do anything insane. Chris Dunn really improved, 13.8 points per game, good for him. Nick Stauskas, a very good season from him as well. Shooting only about 37% from 3, so not as crazy as I would have expected, honestly. Terry Rozier, not too insane because he's not getting crazy minutes. But Jerome Robinson, 11.1 points per game. Definitely a solid season from him, so him getting that boost helped him out a ton. Chandler Parsons, pretty good year, 12 points per game, getting his shooting percentages back up to something that's more reasonable than real life, because in real life he's pretty trash. Looking at the Hawks squad, Alex Len, not too much of an improvement from him, really. I don't really know. Nothing really changed with him all that much. It's probably around the stat line you'd average normally, about 9 and just about 8. So, looking at the Heat, there we go. There's the first guy, Dion Waiters, almost 17 points per game. That's what we like to see. So Dion Waiters getting better actually helped out the Heat team a lot. and his own self a ton. So where's Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, though? I would expect him to get higher because we gave him somewhat of an offensive game. Not doing that great, only 9.3 points per game. Dante Exum second on the Jazz in scoring. I'll respect that, 15 points per game, so not bad at all. Harry Giles, okay season from him. Mari Hezonia, 14 points per game, 4 and 3. Okay, not anything crazy, but you would expect him to be doing a lot better, honestly. Zoe, also not that crazy, honestly. You would expect Zoe at now an 85 overall to really be balling out a lot more. Let's see about Fultz. We gave him where he can actually make a shot now, so I don't know why I was looking at Evan Fournier's stats, but yeah, Markelle Fultz is up to an 85 as well, but really not too crazy of a stat line, 13 points per game, so definitely scoring a lot better than in real life. Looking at the Mavericks, we got Trey Burke right there. Another guy, 13 points per game, nothing too crazy. Shabazz Napier off the bench with about 12.4, so that's pretty good. Trey Lyles, decent, 82 overall now. Dougie McBuckets, not too impressive. Shooting great from the field and stuff, but overall not that great from him. Jahlil Okafor up to an 85 overall after one season, so that's pretty good. Thon Maker still at only an 80 overall. Doesn't look like he set the league on fire. Jeremy Lin, great year from him, up to an 82 overall, 13 points per game with about 3 assists a game, so pretty good year from him. Austin Rivers only went up 1 point. Jakob Poeltl up an overall point. No one's really doing anything too crazy. Dragan Bender, nothing. He didn't even go up, and that's surprising because he should have been getting good tick. Looking at the Thunder, Nerlens, pretty good season, but he still didn't really go after it offensively. There we go. There's the first guy. 21 points per game for Andrew Wiggins. Great season for him, up to an 87 overall, so he went up 2 overall points this season. Looking at the Trailblazers, Evan Turner really didn't do anything. Andrew Bogut also really didn't do much. Wizards, let's see, Jabari Parker, up to an 85 overall, so pretty solid. Let's just simulate through the playoffs and kind of see how these guys do. The guys that actually did make the playoffs. Because every team has one. So, the Cavaliers got eliminated already, so Nick Stauskas and the boys are out. The Nets are out. Jazz with Dante Exum being a great scorer is out. Trailblazers, Spurs. We're going to look at the box scores as soon as this is over, and we're going to kind of see how everybody performed in their games. So, looking at the Trailblazers, Evan Turner, pretty crappy. Andrew Wiggins, 29 points. 29 points. So, he's kind of the epitome of what this is all about. Jakob Poeltl, 6 and 10, nothing crazy. Thunder, Nerlens, 9 and 15. Also, well, 15 is pretty good. There we go. Jazz, leading scorer, Dante Exum. Although they did get knocked out along with the T-Wolves. Shabazz Napier, 17 points. That's pretty solid. Jabari Parker, 13 and 11. Pretty good game for Jabari at the power forward slot. Thon Maker, trash. Let's look. Looking at the Celtics, we got Terry Rozier really not getting any type of minutes. And with the Bucks, we got Tony Snell not really getting any minutes. Nick Stauskas, second best scorer on the Cavs. And Zaire only getting a little bit of tick. So here we are to the next round. I don't know who could win this all. For all I know, the Wizards could end up winning it because they have a big change from Jabari Parker at the 4. They're taking it to Game 7 with the Raptors. And they actually lose in 7. Not the most surprising thing. But they definitely had to put up a good effort. And Jabari Parker was actually almost non-existent with 4 and 11 in that game, which is kind of insane. So we got Terry Rozier, we got Jeremy Lin, we got Andrew Bogut, and I forget who we did on the Rockets off the top of my head. So it's going to be Raptors-Rockets in the finals. So we got Jeremy Lin, and we got Austin Rivers. That's right, Austin Rivers, who's now an 80 overall. So let's see who will win. And it looks like, ooh, okay. The Rockets do take it. James Harden MVP. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment.